Well, I I could play that song all over again. I could play "We
Gosh.
Are the Champions" all over again for you this week. You can't you can't stop winning, can you?
Hey, well, I didn't win anything,
I don't.
but
You were on the award. You were in the awards ceremony. You're on the
second
podium.
place, still not a winner.
Yeah, second place. But wait a minute, weren't you third place last in October? Didn't you come in third, or were you
Can't
second again?
remember. I can't remember if I was second or third. It wasn't first either time. That's all I know.
But you
Maybe
got
the
on the
next one.
podium. Anthony didn't
Yeah.
get on the podium. No, no,
Anthony did
Anthony didn't get on
not.
the podium.
No. So I guess I would beat Anthony. That's the only win that came out of it. But
Well, so you got on the podium though, so that was good. So what we're talking about here is Kayla participated in Rumpus and the Bumpus. Is that what it's called? Rumpus and the
Rumpus and
Bumpus?
Bumpus, yeah.
Rumpus and Bumpus, a sprint triathlon, 750-meter swim, 12-mile bike, 3.1-mile run, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did really, really well. The run, you crushed the run, and you crushed Anthony. I mean, right? You crushed Anthony.
Oh, well, I don't know if I crushed him, but I did beat him by a few minutes, so that was good. And I beat him on the run, and everybody said when they were setting their predictions up, they said, "Well, Anthony will definitely beat you on the run, but I think you have him on the other two." And actually, I beat him on the run, so I was happy about that.
That's great. I like that. Yeah.
I liked that too.
So it's good though. I watched you. You know, you were able to send that link that we could follow everybody and the chips and where everybody was in the race. And well, we had four people kind of represent. You know, I was going to do this, and I just don't think we can. Now maybe we can together as a company. But I since you and Anthony are doing that half Ironman right in October, you're preparing for that. I thought, well, how cool it would be to get these custom made OPEX tri suits.
Tri suits. That
Yeah,
would be pretty cool.
it would be pretty cool. Except you got a minimum order, and it's like
We need
5 grand.
15 more people to do
Yeah,
the Ironman. We can get it.
yeah. So unless you want a bunch of spares, and the average cost be about $1,000 for tri suit.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be a way we could wing that. But we had four people. You had yourself. You had Lauren, Pete, Stephen Brooks, right? Competed in his at
First
least
one.
first one with us.
Open water. His first open water, which was
Oh, that's
cool.
right. Yeah, he did that one Bridgeport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool. So you got the triathlon bug going throughout OPEX. I wonder if we can recruit more people.
I think maybe so. Yeah, we had a couple people. We have a bunch of stuff going on. I had a client do a half marathon this past weekend. Um, had his second best time ever. I have two clients doing the Greenbrier River Race this coming
Hmm.
weekend. I have another client doing a 5K race in Canaan this coming weekend. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of people doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I think so. Who else? We had well, we had one client was in Florida.
Trina did the
Yep, Trina did
Disney. Yeah.
the Disney thing. To see her do that, that's pretty cool. You know, considering where she started and everything, that's really good. And one of our clients, it's not a triathlon. Uh, is he really the first person to carry that 140 pounds, 400 meters,
First
the red
person.
kettlebell? He is the first one.
Morgan's probably been in there practicing every day since he completed it.
That's
Well,
awesome.
he wasn't supposed to do it, and I know he's not my client, so hopefully you're not mad. But he was saying how close he was in the gym the other day to do it. So people know we have a 400-meter farmers carry challenge. So if the men have to carry two 70-pound kettlebells 400 meters, and the goal is to do it unbroken. And we've had that going for years now. Nobody's completed it. And so he was saying how close he was the other day. And I was like, well, just do it right now. Like, just do it. If you're that close, just do it. And he kind of looked at me like, okay. And then I was teasing, I was teasing Morgan because I'm like, you know he's gonna do it. He is gonna beat you, and then he's gonna be the only one that has done it. And he did it. It was pretty cool.
He's a strong dude. I mean, he's that farmer kinda strong guy. They've done these comparisons, right, where you take these bodybuilders and you have them lift certain things, and then you got this guy that doesn't have a bodybuilding form, or just look to him, and they're just throwing weight around like it's nothing, and he's
Yep.
like that. He's a good kid. Good kid. I'm glad to see that he was able to do that, and thankfully, we got him on Facebook because he was, "When's my picture? Where is it? When's it going up? When's it going
Mhm.
up?"
Yeah, we need to get him on Instagram next because I had to post that one straight from Facebook so I could tag him.
Yeah, because he doesn't have an Instagram account. Let's get on to our topic today. I said earlier that we could probably do this topic every week because there's probably a message in here that someone forgets, and it needs to be reminded each week as they are trying to achieve, their fitness goals or health goals and everything. Talk to me a little bit. So we got like 7 kind of tips, and these are, I'd say, your tips, right? 7 tips to help people stay focused on achieving what they want to achieve, and not to get caught up and not to, you know, kind of look for other things to keep them going. But there's simple little tricks that they can kind of employ into their journey that will help them reach their goals. So let's talk about that. You made a comment here in the notes says you don't need more motivation. You just need a system that still works when life is chaotic. What do you mean, by that?
Um, yeah, I mean, the thought so we come up with these topics every week ourselves, and so I was just thinking, I'm like, what's kind of like the, conversation that I have in consults and even, um, the reason why we lose clients. Like,
Or
the
why we
number
don't
one
get clients, right? We've had
right.
trouble getting people in here just because they say, what?
I don't have time or it doesn't
Right.
I can't fit it into my schedule. It's too much. And but we have 122 other people that work full-time jobs. A lot of them have kids. Like everybody has the same time, so that's not a matter of time. It's just a matter of how you are doing it to fit it into your life. So and that's where, when people were like, I just need more motivation. It's like, well, maybe you don't need more motivation. Maybe you just need to do things differently so it feels a little bit easier. People are, how many times we have sales consults and they're like, I just need someone to keep me motivated. Well, I'm sorry, but my job is not to keep you motivated. My job is to set you up so you can succeed and you are then motivated yourself to come. And so that's where I feel like if you have a better plan, you have a better system, then that's where kind of the motivation naturally comes because it's easy. It's hard. Motivation runs out and it's hard to stick to something if it's very complicated.
Oh, agreed. Right. Break it down to the simplest form that will help people kind of move forward. So let's talk about ways to make it stick. And the first kind of comment you make is shrink the habit, make it impossible to fail. Describe that.
So it kind of goes on along the lines of like an object in motion stays in motion, right?
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
like I think if we could get people to get a little bit of momentum in the beginning, um, and see gain the confidence and maybe understand that once they get those small tasks achieved, it feels good. So then that's when the motivation comes. It's like, wow, like I can actually do this. Wow, this is actually good for me. Wow, I'm starting to see some changes. This feels good. Instead of just jumping to these big, lofty goals that take a lot of change and a lot of dedication, a lot of time. Like if you just start with smaller things and achieve those, that could still lead you to those bigger goals down the road, but you just have to start small, I believe. So, instead everybody wants to come in. How many times we say, I want to work out 5 days a week. I want to be there for an hour and a half. I want you to give me a meal plan. I want you to give me macros. I want you to do all these things for me. And it's like, well, this person's been sitting on the couch for the last 3 years. Like, you know, maybe we just do some walking. Like, maybe we just look at protein in a few meals a week, or maybe we just look at a couple things to achieve at the beginning versus just diving head first, because those people never last.
Yeah, one of the questions that I will and challenge, people in a consult when they and trust me, I'm gullible. I am. If somebody comes in, at times I have to even dial myself back when I see that enthusiasm and I see that excitement and I see them wanting to go for it. I'm going, okay, yeah, let's go. I got somebody here that really wants to do it. And but then there's a little bit where we got to just kind of create reality, and a question that I may ask sometimes, okay, well, it's great that you want to do that. When's the last time you have? When's the last time you have? Where is there proof that you're going to be able to complete what you want to, that 4 or 5 days in the gym and eating perfectly and just doing everything the way you're supposed to? And oftentimes the answer is, well, most likely never, that they've been perfect, right? And so let's dial it back a little bit. And I like what you said. Talk. Get a 10 to 20 minute workout in rather than that 45 to 60 minute workout. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure. Because something is better than nothing if that's what you're coming from.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to make 20 minutes in your day than an hour and a half in your day. And usually what happens is once a habit, like there's this story, I think maybe it was on a podcast, but it was James Clear was talking about a guy that went to the gym. He went to the gym and didn't even work out. He just wanted to get in the habit of driving
Well, there
to
you
the
go.
gym. So he drove to the gym, like maybe filled up his water bottle and then left. He didn't even work out because he told himself, like, the hardest part is me getting to the gym. So if I can conquer just getting to the gym, once I get there, know that I'll do the workout. So his first step was just to drive to the gym for his 3, 4 days a week just to prove to himself that he could do it. I mean, I think that's a kind of an extreme example, but it is very similar. It's like, well, maybe I'm not to an hour workout yet, but I can definitely find 20 minutes in my day. So maybe your workout start out at that. Maybe instead of trying to change your entire diet, your entire nutrition, maybe just pick like 3 meals of the week that you're going to make sure that you eat enough protein in. Something as simple as that, because then it becomes easier. You know how to do it in those 3 meals, so then it's easier to then transition into it to a whole day or a whole week.
So you say anchor your habits to your day, not your mood.
So, also in the book Atomic Habits, I think he refers to this as like habit stacking or habit pairing, something like that. It's been a while
Hmm.
since I read that book, but
Yeah.
um I always say this to people. I just said this to Lauren this morning, actually. I feel like sometimes she hates when I say these things, but she had her running shoes in her bag. And I was like, "Oh, you're going for a run today?" And she said, "Well, I'm taking my running shoes." And so I immediately said, "So you're not going for a run today. You're just taking your running shoes." Great that you have the first step, but I can always tell if she feels like it, she'll go for a run. She never felt like it after a day of work. She's never felt like going for a run afterwards. So this is where that kind of comes in. It's like if you just pair it with something else that you do every single day, and it's not based on how you feel, it's just like when I do this thing that I do every day, uh,
This
co-
follows.
drink coffee in the morning, I go for a walk. I think that was an example. Like after work, I go for a workout. No matter what I feel like that day, that is what I do. The same thing with food is like I do this in the evening. Is after dinner, I prep my food, my breakfast, and my lunch for the next day because I know I'm not going to have time, or will I want to do it in the morning, and that food's already out, so I just go ahead and do it for the next day, instead of just always thinking I'll do it when I get to it, or I'll do it when I have time, or I'll do it when I feel like it, because chances are you're never going to feel like it and you're never going to have time. So just pair it with something that you already do and then just make that the habit then, because we know that there's a handful of things that we do every single day. And then you just pair something that you want to start doing with the things you already do.
Yeah, but I've just cooked and now I got to cook again. Well, this is where maybe additional hack to that is I'll cook a dinner that I really enjoy, that's healthy and it's got the right food that I need in that meal to maybe hit my protein, throughout the week, and I'll just make lunches out of that for the next 2 or 3 days. So I'm not really
Yeah.
cooking
Yeah,
again.
I'm not saying I cook twice in the evening, I just cook double the
Alright,
amount of food, so I have food for the next day.
there we go, there we go. Remove decision fatigue.
Yeah, I think this one is a huge one, is, like, we deal with a lot of busy working professionals, or I would say busy, uh, caretakers or home homemakers, like, I don't know if that's a proper word to use now, but people that are in charge of taking care of their families, their schedules, they're getting their kids places, getting the house together, getting food together. Like, yeah, maybe they're not a working professional, but they're still working and doing things. So there's a lot of decisions to be made throughout the day. And so and I think people make it too difficult of like there's too many options for food. There's too many options for what you're gonna do for a workout. There's too many options of the days and times. I mean, hell, we're open all the time in Morgantown, right? Like, there's so many things. It's like, just make the smaller decisions and the easiest decisions and then stick to that because there's too many options. So the people that are the most successful, if you hear, I mean, you hear people talk about it all the time. The most successful, they eat the same foods all the time because they're just removing one more decision in their day. So they're not waking up in the morning and thinking, well, what am I going to have for breakfast today? It's just automatic because they have done it. It's 3 or 4 things that they probably eat all the time. Same thing for lunch is like, there's no, oh, where am I going to go eat today? It's like, no, I just don't go out to eat for lunch ever because I don't ever want to have to decide on where I'm going because that's just one more decision. So if I just know there's these 4 meals that I can pack for lunch, that's what I do. When I go to the grocery store, the same thing. I mean, there are how many aisles in a grocery store? I really don't go down half of those aisles because I know I don't want to make the decisions on what to get. I know exactly what I'm going in there for. I know what I'm cooking, and that's what we do. So I think that that could help people is like just stick to the things you know. We all know a lot of healthy habits. So just do the ones that you know and get those down before you try to do something that isn't super comfortable or is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. You can get carried away, especially with food, and again, we've talked about this before, if we're watching TikTok, if we're on Instagram, all of these people are out there with all these wonderful meals that you can stack in your freezer and pull out. But I looked at them sometimes and it just adds complexity because oftentimes the recipes aren't really there. You're trying to wonder, okay, what am I doing? That boy, it looks good. Looks like it tastes good. Probably going to hit my macros that I need to hit, but it's creating complexity and there's a simpler way to do it in just creating that decision that's already made for you. By the way, deciding not to do something is a decision too, right? So we are constantly having to make decisions, and I do get to a point where I'll even myself, I'll just say, "God, somebody just do it for me. Make this decision for me. I'm tired. I'm tired out. I don't want to make any more decisions today." And what happens typically is we make the wrong decision. When we're fatigued, anything what we're doing when we are fatigued, when we are tired, there's more of a chance to make the wrong decision than to make the right decision. So I love that. I love that trick. So far, just to kind of review, because we have 7 of them. We've got shrink that habit, right? Make it impossible to fail. I really, really like that. Just make smaller bites, take smaller bites that you can create that momentum. You talked about a body in motion is easier to stay in motion. I don't know what you said, something like that, some type of science term that I'm not smart enough to repeat. Anchor the habits to your day, right? Make decisions, just have something follow something that it becomes a habit to do. Remove decision fatigue, and then set a minimum standard. And this is where I think sometimes too, where people they want to be healthier. They know what it they've seen others that are doing things. This is where I think sometimes comparison comes in, and they see other people doing things in the gym, or they see other people achieving being able to do a triathlon. I want to do a triathlon. And then they set the sights to just go from 0 to 60 in 30 seconds, and they want to be perfect instead of just setting that minimum. Talk to me about a little bit, set a minimum standard. How does that play a role in um, making better decisions?
Yeah. So I just think that where I see a lot of people fail is they try to do too many things, and then what they end up doing is nothing. And so, like, and then they feel like they failed because they had 10 things on their checklist that they needed to do, and then they maybe only did 3 of them, and then it's like, "Well, hell, I already screwed up, I'm done, like, I didn't." So, I think people, if they just get a few things that are non-negotiables that they're going to do every single day, things that they know that they can do, those are what we do, and then everything else on top of that is a bonus. Because that creates consistency, like, throughout, and then it still gives you that sense of accomplishment, like, I am the person that does this, right? It's like, I'm not a person that's perfect. I'm not a person that does all the things. I am a person that sticks to my commitments, and you commit to things that you know that you can do.
Hey,
So
you're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. Stay
sorry.
on topic.
Sorry. So, like, my examples were steps, right? We can all get steps. If we don't have access to the gym, we can still get steps in. We have to eat every single day. And so I think, obviously, I preach protein a lot, and hit a minimum standard of protein. So no matter what, even if you eat out for all your meals in the day, even if you're on vacation, even if you're stuck in your house and you can't leave, you can still hit your protein goal no matter what comes up. So I just think that those are two things. Some type of I think steps could be some type of movement, or the same thing. No matter what comes up, no matter where you are, if you're on vacation or you're in your house, you can move your body for 15-20 minutes. Body weight, squats, push-ups, sit-ups, like that way, that habit is still there. So maybe you didn't make it to the gym for some reason, something happened with work, something happened with kids, but your commitment was, I'm gonna move 20 minutes a day. So it's like, well, I didn't make it to the gym, but I can still keep that commitment to myself. I can still do 20 minutes of body weight stuff at my house. So that way I'm still on track. Like, I didn't miss anything. I'm still the person that I said I was gonna be, and doing the things that I said I was going to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you mentioned the word consistency. And your comment is consistency is greater than intensity. Explain that.
So I mean, I think it kinda speaks for itself. Is like, it is better to do things over a long period of time in a consistent pattern than to do something with high intensity for a shorter period of time. So,
With that,
yeah,
without
so I would say, I mean, obviously, I don't have, like, scientific data to say this, but I would say you take a person that does a 20-minute workout, say 4 or 5 days a week, and hits just walking steps over a 2-year span. You take a person versus a person that does, say 3 hour and a half high intensity workouts for 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, goes on a vacation, doesn't do anything, maybe has a sickness, doesn't do anything. And it's like, I would say you take that person that maybe just did body weight stuff over 2 years, they have more progress than the person that was all in and all out, all in and all out.
love it, love it, love it. I like this next one. I really do. Plan for the busy days, not the perfect ones.
Mhm.
You just described most of our clientele. There's probably not a not busy day in their calendar, right?
Ever. No, in your entire life, like, nothing. You're lucky if you get that, but, I mean, I can't think of a day that I was like, "Man, that was perfect." Nothing came up, no, like, no last-minute cancellations, no last-minute schedules, no, like, "I have to run here, I have to do that." There's not a day, and I have a pretty flexible job, and I don't have children, so if it happens for me, I know it's happening to the people that are working for someone else and that have children. So, um, I just actually, Sam and I talked about this a long time ago, and it got brought up again last night. Like, obviously, Sam and I have a pretty good relationship, and he has a good personality, and he takes criticism well. So
Coaching. He takes
obviously
coaching well.
coaching well. But, it was happening a lot that it was like, "Oh, well, work. Well, I got caught up. Well, I was on the road. Well, I work this and then I travel." And it's like, finally, I was like, "Dude, this is your life. Accept it. Quit waiting for the perfect time to eat well and to get your workouts in the gym. This is your life, right? Those perfect days, that's not your life. That's the anomaly here. So why don't we just plan every single day for those days that happen all the time with work?" And so I think it finally was like an aha moment for him, was like, "Oh shit, like this is my life. Like I'm keep waiting for something to change, but it's not going to change, right? Like this is the job you have, this is the job you're in, and that's how it's going to be. So we have to plan around that. And there's still ways to be successful in that. So I just think that I hear that a lot from people is um, when travel settles down, when the kids settle down, when my job settles down, like when my parents are not whatever they're doing, it's like there's always a when, and it's like it's always going to be something. So just make it work now. So when the next thing comes, you already have the tools in the toolbox to be able to do it.
Yeah. There's a little it's not a little skit, but it's just a kind of part of a presentation I would do for, people. Mostly these were high school age kids kind of thinking about where they were going to go, what they were going to do, and just trying to get them to act now and not put it off. But it's well, somewhat depressing, but, when I finally, get to college, I'll be that person. I can do the things I wanna be. I know you're gonna talk about becoming that person that you are, not, later on in our conversation today, but, when I graduate college, when I get that first job, when, "Oh, the kids have been too taxing, I just haven't have time to do the things I wanna do, to be the person I wanna be." When I get that promotion, boy, then I'll have more time. I'll be able to do the things I wanna do and be the person I want to be. And oh my gosh, work has just been so. But when I retire, maybe when I retire, I can start to do all the things I want to do, and then I end with, well, when I'm dead.
Mhm.
When I'm dead, I'll have all the time in the world. And I think there's always going to be something that can interrupt us. There's always going to be something that can distract us. And I think if you go back to even the one or two of the couple things that we've already discussed, and getting rid of decision fatigue, all right, making habits part of your day, stack them to something else, all help in this finding more time to do what we want to do. We all have the same amount of time a week, every single one of us. I look at you and I look at me. You look like you're jacked and in shape, and you're doing 7 minute and 30-second miles and at the end of a triathlon, and I'm sitting there trying to suck out 10-minute miles at the end of the and not even before the bike, just the run itself. And I'm going, "Gosh, darn, well, guess what? You and I both have the same amount of time in a day to get things done. You're being a little bit more um, kind of you're just being more intentional with what you do with your time." And I like that. We all have busy
I think
days.
too, going on that, not to say myself personally, but I'm just looking at like some of the topics I have here, and I'm thinking in my head what I do for things like travel or work, running late, or um, being tired. Right? Is travel. Like you just asked me before the podcast, do I have training plans for my vacation next week? Well, we purposely pick out places. Sometimes when we travel, we are like camping and staying in cabins. But I always have my running shoes. You can run anywhere you go. Two, we look at hotels that we stay in that have gyms. So we will not book a hotel that does not have a gym. And when we stay, so we plan our trip to where at least every other stay has a hotel gym. The cabins we don't have access to that. But so on this trip, we have 3 hotels that have a gym. I'll get a good workout in at those hotels. Work runs late. Well, my work is a little bit different. Sometimes, I mean, it might run late, but usually what happens is something gets scheduled in the middle of the day, or I have a client that needs something in the middle of the day. Well, I always keep my running shoes and all, like my swimsuit, all that. I keep it in a bag in my truck all the time. It's there right now. It's out there. So if somebody cancels in the middle of the day and I have an extra hour, it's like, well, I have my stuff with me. I don't have to go get it. I can't, I'm not sitting around not doing anything then because that's an extra hour that I have. Um, Maybe like you're tired, right? Is like I just had this conversation last night. Was I know I'm not going to do anything once I get home in the evening. So I don't even plan for it. So if I have to get a workout in that day, nothing starts in the morning usually for me. One day a week I have to be at the gym early. Other than that, I if I know that I have something all day long, I know I'm not going to get a workout in the evening. I just have to do it in the morning because I know I'm gonna be too tired in the evening. That's like one of those things is like I wake up, I go do it. Whereas I think people don't have that in their mind of these are the things I do when. Like I almost feel like everybody should write a list out of like when I'm tired, I do this. When I travel, I do this. When something happens with work, I do this. These are my plans for when these things happen so you don't have to think about it.
I love that. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I know we I've talked about this story, and I'm going to shorten it tremendously. But there was a flight that a guy that mentors me that was on, and it was about to crash, and the pilot saved the flight. And when they all got off the flight, the mentor that I know just went up and said, "Well, when did you decide?" Right? When did you decide to make that change in the flight plan? Because we were going down. And the pilot said 25 years ago. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like what you're talking about right there. I'm not going to wait until I have to make this decision to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare that this is what I'm going to do when this happens. I really love that and enter into that. Um, I tend to, and it's funny. Sometimes I think I relate more to our clientele. The clientele, but I feel like I'm more like our clientele. And these podcasts and these conversations help me just as much. But I am I am big into outcomes. I measure outcomes probably way too much. And your comment here, they're kind of helping I track actions, not outcomes. How can that help me?
Well, I believe that actions are what lead to outcomes. And so if we're only tracking outcomes, a lot of the times you miss the actions that you should be taking, right? I just had this conversation with a client earlier this week. Client said, "I'm gaining weight. I don't know what's wrong. I don't like what's happening." So I'm like, "Okay, well let me go like see what's happening here." I go in, the client has a 33% compliance rate. And so, well, maybe we start with coming to the gym would be a good step, right? Like, I mean, to me, it's not that difficult, but it's like you're gaining weight. So we're focusing on the outcome. But instead, what if we focused on having 100% compliance for 4 weeks? So for a month, we're going to have 100%. You're going to get 12 to 16 workouts in a row. That's our thing. I can almost guarantee if we focused on that action, that outcome of weight gain would not have happened. But we're so focused on the weight gain, weight gain, weight gain. Then we get in this spiral in our heads and then we're defeated. And then we're like, well, screw it. I'm just not going to the gym because I'm gaining weight. And the next thing you know, you have a 33% compliance. And I can guarantee you're not going to lose any weight, not moving your body. So that's an example. And obviously I'm being like funny, but it is kind of true.
It's real.
So
I mean,
yeah, so
it's a reality.
it's like maybe focus on those like action steps that we all know will lead to the outcome that we want. So, and it makes you feel good. Like even if you didn't gain any weight, but you can have a little checkbox, or you look at your app and you see 100% compliance or 100 workouts completed, like whatever it is, that feels good no matter what the scale says. But if you're only focused on the outcome, um, you tend to like overlook the action steps.
Yeah,
Does
I like
that
that.
make sense?
Makes
Yeah.
makes a ton of sense. It makes a ton of sense. You stepped into this a little bit. I'm going to bring you back to it to have you go a little deeper into it. But I do like this. Build identity, not just goals.
Yeah. I feel like this one is important to me. I feel like I am a big identity person. I want to be a person that. um, and I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a driving force in my life of how I want to show up in the world. And I think that if more people took on a mindset like that, like I want to be a person, like a big one for me, and I don't think I have it, is like I want to be a person that says does what I say I'm going to do. Um, that's a big one for me. So whether it's in workout, whether I say it to myself or I say it to someone else, I don't like to say I'm going to do something and then not do it. I don't like to be that type of person. Now, but that little saying can go into so many categories, right? So me saying, I want to be a person that follows through with things I'm going to do. That could lead to me being fitter. That could lead to me being a better friend or partner. It could lead to me being a better business owner. But it has nothing to do with any of those like tangible things. It just is an identity thing. And so I feel like in the health and fitness world, if we could embrace an identity a little bit more, it would then lead to those actual goals that we want to do. Because who you are, like who you are as a person leads to the outcomes. Um th- that's a more philosophical
Well, that's right
question,
up
I
my
believe,
alley.
than
This is
anything
where I
else.
like to be.
But it's like, I want to be a person, I want to be lean, right? Well, lean isn't a character trait. Like, there are a lot of lean assholes out there. But I guarantee if you said to yourself, I want to be a person who is committed to things that I do. It could be, you could specify, I want to be a person that's committed to my workouts. That's not putting a like number on it, whatever, but being committed to your workouts will ultimately lead to being lean, probably. So I just
Again,
think that
focus
if people,
on the activity, the
yeah,
actions, not
and I think
the
it's
outcome.
more from a like it's not an action step. It's not necessarily action steps. It's a identity. It's a character trait. I want to be a person that even if it's broader, like I think same thing James Clear talks about, instead of saying I want to run a marathon, I want to be a runner is the same. So it's like instead of I want to run a marathon, I want to be a runner. Even if you go out and you run for 2 minutes, it still makes you a runner. If you go out and you run 10 minutes, you're still a runner. So I think those are some examples of that.
I think that's it's huge. And when you mentioned, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but when you say it's not an action step, it actually is. It is an action. It's an action that I believe that truly needs to take place. You said philosophical. I like to go to the philosophical kind of conversations, and you think about the brain and how it functions, and the subconscious, and us kind of listening to ourselves rather than talking to ourselves. And the unfortunate fact of listening to ourselves is most of what we listen to subconsciously is negative. So we're really, all of these thoughts that are taking place in our brain are what we're not. And I do think it's an action step that we have to be intentional of speaking to ourselves what we want to be, and not that I want to be this, but put it in present tense. I am this. And the more you say that, I am a person committed to my workouts. I am a person that's going to be kind to others. I am a person that's going to be a good partner. I am this. It will fight these thoughts that want to pull you away from that. So I think it's an action step that absolutely has to take place if we're really going to start to move the needle on this. So I love this one. I love them all. Okay, I think they all were great points. I'm going to just review them real quickly, and then we'll kind of end on some maybe final thoughts. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So your first um, piece of advice would be shrink that habit, make it impossible to fail, right? Make them smaller, small steps over a period of time, large results. Anchor your habits to your day, not your mood. I really like that one. remove decision fatigue. Plan ahead. When I when this happens, I do this. When this happens, I do this, and have it become a habit. Set a minimum standard, not perfect. That if you didn't get that 45-minute workout that day and you only got 20, you hit your minimum. Move on. You did good. Uh, Plan for the busy days, not the perfect ones. And to your point, does anybody have perfect days out there right now? No. So they're going to be busy. Plan for it. Track your actions, not your outcomes. Okay. I like that conversation. And just lastly, we said build identity, not just goals. So, main takeaway from today, your thoughts.
Um, well, I would say kind of all of this revolves around simplifying things. Um, it's kind of the overarching thought is, you know, I would tell people to just think simply about what you do know in the health and fitness world without getting bombarded with all the stuff. Just think very simply about what it is you need to do with your body, how you need to move it, how you need to eat, and start with those things and get consistent with those things first. I think that's the biggest thing is if you just do what you know and get really good at that, chances are that's probably enough.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I'm gonna steal your ending thoughts here. Uh, I I don't know if you found this term or I think people will kind of know what it is. Accept imperfect consistency,
Mhm.
right? That you're gonna miss workouts. You're going to, maybe miss your protein goal. You're going to have weeks off that just happen just because of life. But don't let that be, the end. I like that. Never miss twice. Get back on track fast. Those are some of the things that you kind of in your notes that you kind of put. And then I like to be patiently impatient. Just understand, all right? Things If you have a plan and you follow a plan, there's a good chance that plan will work if you focus on the actions. And you might be impatient for the results, but if you can be patiently impatient and imperfectly consistent, you'll achieve all you want to achieve. Oh, well. So you've got a big trip coming up. You're leaving the gym, right, in Chloe's hands, and uh, things will be great. And then, matter of fact, Chloe and I think we'll be on our next podcast. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but I'm going to have her kind of come up with a topic, and I'll just follow her lead. So everybody in the audience will get to meet Chloe. It'll probably be a different vibe, wouldn't you say?
Probably so.
All right. Well, thanks again. Hey, congrats again on last this triathlon you just competed in, and
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were to achieve what you did. But most importantly, I'm glad that you beat Anthony by more than he thought you would.
Thanks. Me too.
All right. See you next week.